One other thing we're trying to do, anybody who knows me knows I'm a little bit on the ADD, creative, inventive side. So one of the challenges we had when starting Altius is, you want to be able to focus when doing a business, when executing on a business. You want to be able to focus on that product and really, driving, pulling together the team, pulling together the resources, making sales, and really focus and drive that market to completion. Drive that product to completion. And but on the other hand, I also really like having some leeway and flexibility to do creative stuff that may not be on the critical path. And so one of the things we're doing with Altius is we borrowed a page from Google's book. And we're doing Friday time, where basically employees are encouraged. Okay, it's easy to say this when there's 3 people right now, but employees are actively encouraged to pursue things that aren't on the critical path for Sticky Boom, things that will hopefully become product lines down the road. So that's what we're trying to do, to try to strike this fun balance between it can be fun and creativity is not just accepted but encouraged, but also providing the kind of focus you need to make sure we can drive a product to market. We're in a great, Louisville, Colorado is a great area to be starting what it in effect is currently a spacecraft mechanisms company. We're right down the street from Ball Aerospace and Sierra Nevada's group, the former Starsys group there. There's good aerospace-focused incubators in the area, like the eSpace Center for Space Entrepreneurship. And in fact, one of the inventors of electrostatic adhesion turns out to live just about 15 minutes up the road from our shop. So I didn't realize how good of a location we had picked until long after we'd picked it. But yeah, no, it's a great place, and we're doing a lot of fun stuff. There's tons of challenges ahead of us in taking a idea to space qualified hardware in this short of a time, especially since we started this company with about $1,000. The old joke about how a rocket company is a great way to make a small fortune by starting with a large one. And fortunately, we're doing a spacecraft mechanisms company, not a rocket company, so maybe we can take a really tiny initial seed chunk and turn it into something big. But in many ways, this is me trying to take the space technology advocacy I've been doing on Selenium Boondocks over all these years, and really putting my time, my career and my money on the line to show that I'm serious about this, that there really are technologies that are near-term available that aren't warp drive, that can drastically change the way we do space and can start opening up new markets and new capabilities that start making space an integral part of human civilization and of the global economy. May not be able to do warp drive, but at least we have a tractor beam.
For Mars orbital environments, do you have access to JPL Testing Chambers?
We are currently negotiating with, the interesting thing about this part of Colorado is there's so much space technology work being done here that, it's not quite one where you could, fire a gun in the air and have a chance of hitting a vacuum chamber on the way back down, but it's almost like that. So we're talking with a few groups, and we found one promising possibility right there in the Denver metro area that is almost perfect for us, that has, can handle the vacuum, that we can put the cold plate in, get the temperature ranges we want, even apply loads. May even be able to put some things in there to be able to simulate the space radiation and the space plasma environment. And we're still looking into those last ones, but we want to be able to drive out as many of the uncertainties as we can from ground testing. But yeah, so we're fortunately in a really good place to do that. And our program manager there at JPL, Ed Riddell, he's been a great guy, a lot of support, a lot of enthusiasm. And no, this is pretty exciting. Yeah, they've really been helping us out. We've also been getting a lot of help from a lot of the aerospace companies around there they like mentoring the new kid on, the small kid on the block, and yeah, I mean, it's a great place to be getting mentorship for building, putting together a spacecraft mechanisms company. I mean, like I was mentioning, the NewSpace Center for Space Entrepreneurship. One of the guys who runs that, Scott Tibbetts, he's the guy who founded Starsys, and took it to being one of the premier spacecraft mechanisms companies in the U.S. before, then successfully sold it to Sierra Nevada. And it's like people of that caliber are the kind of people we can get mentorship and advice from in the area. So I think it should be a lot of help. I mean, my background, I got while I was working on my master's in engineering at BYU, they had a program where you could also get an MBA at the same time. Ended up getting some higher priorities along the way, so I just finished the master's in engineering. But while I was at it, I took as many of the MBA and especially entrepreneurial focused MBA classes as I could. But the reality is, I'm an engineer first, and I'm trying to pull together a good business and technical team. I've got some great support on the business side. We're trying to pull in some more expertise, and we're still very early stages. There's only there's only 3 of us on payroll right now, but hoping to build this into a company that can deliver high quality spacecraft mechanisms to enable commercial space.
And if people want to find out more about your company, where can they go to do that?
I'd suggest they go to my blog, blog.altius-space.com. I will eventually have a website for Altius that actually has any real content in it. Like www.altius-space.com is where it's at right now, but it's mostly just a placeholder. The blog's where all the cool stuff is.
Tell us about Selenium Boondocks.
Oh yeah. So Selenium Boondocks is my space technology business and policy blog that I started back in, I think it was 2005, like summer of 2005, I think. Initially it was kind of in reaction to to some of the things that surrounded like the Exploration Systems Architecture study coming out and NASA's approach to returning to the moon. And it was, did a lot of policy stuff early on, but it really kind of hit my stride with talking about trying to introduce people to space technology and a lot of the options out there. A lot of times I'd find out about some new technology that, if I haven't heard about it, most other people who aren't as actively involved in the industry probably haven't heard about it either. And trying to promote awareness about those. I've like one of those technologies, like thrust augmented nozzles, got a lot of attention. This is a rocket burner, afterburner for a rocket engine that AirJet came up with. We've talked a lot about talked about like magnetohydrodynamic aerobraking and thermal protection systems. I have a great series that's gotten a lot of attention on different reusable rocket vehicle architectures you could use for getting to orbit. Lots on depots. Propellant depots is one of the areas I've spent a lot of time on. I've co-authored some papers on that, done some, chaired some conference sessions, including here at Space Access. And well, in fact, a lot of what we were doing with depots actually directly led to me starting Altius. So yeah, there's a lot of good articles on there about that. Well, lots of odds and ends. Hopefully, I try to provide original content, because it's easy to default back to just making commentary on the happenings of the day, and I do that a lot. But I also try to provide original and thought-provoking content. Get people thinking and excited about space. Yeah, Selenium referring to the moon, and Boondocks. I spent 2 years of my life out in the Philippines, and Boondocks is like the one borrowed word from Tagalog in the English language. It's the Filipino word for mountain. And that was a place that was a really backward place where, you know, they didn't have a lot of infrastructure. So, you know, when the soldiers were sent out to the Boondocks, you know, that was where the things were a little more rustic. So, you know, and became Boondocks and came home with them.